Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope you all are having a nice Friday, I hope. So, today we are going to be discussing about one of this question which one of our subscribers messaged me on Twitter, and she or he was asking about this question. What are the things Web3 can solve that Web2 cannot? Um, it's okay, TLDR, it's ownership. That's what I have learned, that it's ownership. But it's a very good question. It's a very, very good question, and it's very deep. But does anyone have the answer to this? Well, I it would be questionable that if someone had an accurate answer to this. I would say everyone is in this learning phase, and we are learning what are the capabilities of Web3, what Web3 is good at, and what Web2 is good at, and we try to, um, fade away the cons, so to say. So, what Web3 can solve that Web2 cannot is about ownership. What I've done is I have a few examples for you, and we will just walk through some of those, and we will just try to share some of our thoughts. And yeah, and you could let me know whether you agree, whether you disagree. And I mean, disagreement is fine because agreeing to disagree is great, you know. So anyways, coming to one of the examples, like I mentioned. Web3 solves better than Web2 is ownership. Okay, look at this. It's an article from last year, like the end of last year, I think December. Maybe you guys already know about this story, and you must have heard, but it's a New York Times article which came out. Her Instagram handle was Metaverse. Last month it vanished. 5 days after Facebook changed its name to Meta, an Australian artist found herself blocked with seemingly no recourse from an account documenting nearly a decade of her life's work. Okay, so just imagine, like, what is the fundamental thing right here? Her account got vanished, who had a handle of Metaverse, and Instagram belongs to whom? Before it belonged to Facebook. Facebook rebranded to Meta, which is now the parent company. And then you have Instagram, you have WhatsApp, you have, Facebook, the application. Okay, so those names are going to be the same, just their parent company name is going to change to Meta. But anyways, the story is like, just imagine your account, which was named whatever, let's say very popular, let's say um, yeah, let's say metaverse, and your account was taken from you, your life's work, like almost decades work, was taken away from you, and you were blocked from the account. You couldn't access it. I think most of us would feel great, right? Yeah, you know the answer to it, right? So, but anyways, yeah, so ownership, ownership is key. Why? Because a, s- a central party who gives out a service for free, and always the product is us, as you already know that. But yeah, it's the same case over here, so what does this tell me is it tells me that Web2 services who have grown until that height are just decentralized. They have too much of control. So now coming back to ownership, how do you actually make ownership as one of the key benefits of using Web3 services? Is because Web3 is built on smart contracts, what people know as, okay? But we'll get to that. I just call it like software or code which is not changeable, which is immutable, okay? So all these items, that we own in the digital world as well as in the physical world, which is online and offline. Offline things can be brought online, and they can have a digital signature online in these programs, what we call as smart contracts, and the ownership would be whoever the owner is, and it cannot be changed. And just like how um, here Meta just took away her metaverse account, which was she owned it, but she thought she owned it, but that was not the case because there's a central party, who takes care of the database. You change the items on the database, it's gone, it's gone, you know. So so coming back to this idea of like decentralization. So decentralization is a buzzword, I would say, right now, okay? But the idea of decentralization or the paradigm of decentralization is what fascinates me, and I feel that is where we are ultimately going to go because history tells us that. And like, are we saying like, hey, it's going to be the same as history, what happened in the history? No, but it often rhymes, as we know, So if you go back and if you read some history books, or, you will see, like, you will find one common trade or common trait, that when there was like a lot of power being centralized, let's say when there were kings and queens and all that stuff, you know, people liked it for a while, and then, the king or the queen or the emperor had a lot of power, and then, people started doing trades worldwide, like all these merchants, they became much more, they thought, hey, why are we doing everything for this king and queen? Why are we cultivating rice or crops or whatever, for this queen, why don't we do this ourselves and trade with the world when you could travel to different worlds and ships and all that stuff, there were all these merchants, so that's how the world actually started trade and all that stuff, right? So if we look at that, then slowly the power from the king was less relevant. Like he or she became like the king and the queen, and all these emperors became less relevant. Okay, so it diversified. So that's what people felt. That's what people as a society felt like. Hey, we're giving too much power. We need to decentralize this power, spread the power. Okay, give the power to the people. Okay, so the same thing happening now, like it's the same thing. Like, I mean, look at what's happening now. You have W- Health Organization, WHO. We have World Economic Forum, WEF. You know, Bank of International Settlements. BIS. We have IMF, International Monetary Fund. You know, so we have all these institutions who has a lot of power right now, meaning it is centralized, all these power, because they can just press a button and they can change whatever they want. And we, the people of the society, think, at least majority of us think like they are doing it in our best interest, but maybe they are, but it doesn't look like, And are they to blame? I don't think so. Are we to blame? I don't think so. It's just how the world works, But we have come to that phase when we understand that, hey, there's too much power there. Now we need to disperse this power, okay? And how do we do this? We use technology, what is available, and that is the direction where Web3 is going. And because, like, there's a lot of stories about that, but like you get the idea. Like the ownership of things, it's not just going to be concentrated with only a few, but many can be a part of this. Each and every individual can be a part of this. Look now, you have NFT, which you can call as non-fungible tokens, but I would say like non-fungible objects, let's say, okay? Objects, because these are not tokens, okay? It's NFT is a technical term, but like how would you represent it? Like, just it's just an object which is non-fungible, okay? But anyways, we are not here to rename anything, whatever the world is, but you get the idea, like what it is, not just the idea, but you also know like NFTs has enabled a lot of individual artists to be a part of this world. Now they can just sell their painting not just by going through centralized parties like Sotheby's and all these galleries, big galleries and museums. Now they can do it online, digital, and it's not like just limited to a physical location. You can do it like anyone can buy it from any part of the world, whoever has internet, and whoever has access to that, you know. And coming back to the internet itself is like not available to 50% of the world. Like we are fortunate, like we have internet and all these information is right there on our screen at our fingertips these days. But yeah, let's just not go that side. But what I mean is Web3 is solving for ownership like Web2 couldn't. Okay, that is a very valuable thing. I don't know how much you want to value your ownership on something, but I think it's valuable to people who value a lot of stuff, not just like material things, but I mean, everything is valuable to you, right? You're starting from your house to your um, to anything, to any object that you can imagine, like to your mobile phone. It's valuable because it's valuable to you. Maybe it's not valuable for someone else, and this is how centralized party often treats you. Because why? Because they know, like, hey, whatever I do, these guys are just going to, these people are not going to care, so let me do what I want. So that is exactly what the mentality is um, of the people in power and of the businesses in power and so on and so forth. They've grown too big. Okay, but we'll just bring it down. All right. So, and yeah, I mean, be a part of this industry. I'm sure like most of you work in this industry in Web3 and you're contributing your part. And so we all together can play a part in changing the world to make it a bit better than what it is, for the future and for us as well. Because you know about this technology, you can play your part and you can build your own future and create it, however you feel like. Nobody's stopping you, but just make sure um, that you know what you're doing and you know some of the implications. But yeah, I don't think so. Most people care, but we should, but we should. Yeah, but anyways, let's look at some of the cons about Web3. We have seen like if you go to this website, you will see all the hacks across like DeFi, EVM DeFi, and it's not just like EVM DeFi. Everyone like here, Solana, one of the projects, gone, rugged, 12 million gone. Here look, 600 million, Poly network, cross-chain bridge sort of a protocol gone, wrecked, unaudited code, okay? Here, look, it doesn't matter whether it's unaudited or audited. Look here, Alpha Finance, wrecked, constant. And this is like it's audited by these prominent companies like Certic and PeckShield and Quantstamp and Deloitte over here, still wrecked, rugged, hacked, stolen, funds stolen. Okay, it happens, and these are millions of millions of dollars as you can see over here. And yeah, Web3 is not perfect yet, but it's moving in that direction. It's like I entered in 2017, mid 2017, but it was just like a dream back then, to have like a working DeFi app and so on and so forth. There were only scams. Right now, it's a different form of a scam. So, not scams, like different forms of like, yeah, scams, you know? And this is not just like in Web3, it's in everything, you know? It's in everything. So, I mean, like now, like, so what I'm trying to say is like Web3 isn't perfect, Web2 isn't perfect, but Web3 is better at ownership than Web3, than Web2. Web, all right? And yeah, all these people who deposited funds, if we were on the on the hack side of things, it wouldn't feel bad, you know. Like I mean, it would not feel good, you know, because of course, like it's your funds, whatever. Maybe you got lucky, or maybe it's your hard-earned funds or whatever. Just got hacked and it's just gone, poof, you know. So it's not good. And this is what all these regulators they look into and they pick. Yeah, hey, look at these guys, you know, they are anonymous and they're shadowy super coders, and they're creating all of this outside our regulation. They're scared, you know. They're just scared that the power is being given back to the people by anonymous people or anonymous builders on the internet. But does that mean like anonymous builders are great? Man, you recently heard the news about Quadriga and like Seifu or something like that. But anyways, that's like a whole other controversy thing. We won't get into that, but you still understand. Like, I mean, the whole point is about ownership, and it's about ownership where you don't need to trust anybody. You just trust the the code, okay? But it's also questionable, you know, who writes the code and so on and so forth. We will get into that just a bit. But yeah, from you understood about like, you know, Instagram taking her handle and giving it to Meta. Uh, you say fair. I don't know what to say. But look at this. Like, I mean, Meta over here, like, joined in March 2007. When did that happen? Man, you know, Meta, it wasn't even a name like a few months ago, you know, 2007? Like, really? Just took someone's account on Twitter, you know, Twitter said, hey, you guys are a big company, you know, and so on and so forth. You deserve this name, let's say. Well, they deserve it. The other person, they don't care, as simple as that. You think someone got paid, Meta paid someone to get this handle? I think you, I think if one thinks like that, I think one is in a totally different world, but and not in reality. But anyways, you've seen people getting banned from social media, like YouTube as well. Who knows? Maybe they silence my account over here. But anyways, I think these are information which is already out there. And like I mentioned, we are not trying to critique any of the businesses. We're just trying to showcase some of the pros and cons between Web3 and Web2. All right. So yeah, social media bans, Donald Trump banned from Facebook, and so many others. Like during all, and it could be for maybe for a good reason or for a bad reason or like. But anyways, let's just ask like who's this judging? Who's this judging? Like whether it's good or bad? Like I mean, like we know like we have gone to that extent where I don't think so I have to explain that, but like you already understand, I guess. Like from C19, everybody go home, lock yourself. It's like, and then now look, what's changed? What's changed? Like, do you think the society have changed? People's behavior changed, and do you think this is just like a switch? You turn it back on, you turn it back off, you turn it back on, you turn it back off. It's totally different. It's totally different in the sense this is not like in my perception from my research. My mom is like doctor, I have five doctors at home, so I mean they tell me a totally different story, you know. about what is reality. Of course, we see some numbers and so on and so forth. But anyways, I think we are getting carried away too far. But anyways, all this comes to the idea that things are centralized. We need to distribute this, and we need to allow people to have a voice. You know, whether it be good or bad, people need to be heard. You know, so yeah, like banning all of these accounts and so on and so forth. Not good, right? So, like people think, oh, a Twitter account belongs to one of you. I mean, let's say I think like, this YouTube account belongs to me. It's not true, you can just poof, poof, gone. Yeah, but anyways, we are thankful that we still have this technology, and that's the bright side of Web2, and that there are so many of these applications which are not available to countries like China and so on and so forth are available to us. And basically, all these websites and all these services are, I would say, information. And what China is doing is just trying to block their people away from this information because that is why the creativity side of like majority of the Chinese is limited compared to the world. Of course, like they are great as a nation, and so on and so forth. But my girlfriend is Chinese, so I know, and I'm aware at least, of the things what she tells me about. So basically, this is all about information, democratization of information because information is power, and power can, destabilize those centralized parties, if you know what I mean already. So yeah, it's not good, but yeah. So what is the solution? What is the solution? First of all, we need to make this whole internet decentralized, okay, a distributed, distributed across. Like we have seen, like in the Web2 world, like sites like torrents, Pirate Bay, and all of these sites where you can upload or download based on like, peer-to-peer technology. Peer-to-peer technology is between you and I and individuals and groups and so on and so forth without even knowing who they are. So so the thing is, we need to distribute the base layer of internet. You have technologies, if you have heard about IPFS, I'm sure. There are other technologies as well, but I'm just like giving a few examples over here. So it's like peer-to-peer hypermedia protocol designed to preserve and grow humanity's knowledge by making the web upgradable, resilient, and more open. That is exactly what we need. So what is the difference between what is Web 2 and what is Web 3? We need to upgrade Web 2, we need to make it more resilient, and we need to make it more open because Web 2 is not open, Web 2 is not resilient because, like you have seen, the ownership of people or anybody can be taken away and it's not upgraded. So we need to, what is this upgrade? This upgrade or this resiliency, what we call as censorship resistance in Web3, where nobody can ban you, block you, or so on and so forth. Uh, is a totally different type of power, So, and it's much more open. It's open. It's not much more open. It's open. It's just out there. Who do you have internet access? You have whatever, a laptop or computer or multiple computer or cell phone. You can access all of these open distributed technologies that we use. And yeah, I mean, when people say decentralization, it's questionable, because mm, we'll get to that in a bit, okay? But anyways, I just also wanted to show you one of these websites, which is a popular media website, crypto media website, like Web3 media website. If you go to any of their article, for example, any of their article, okay, and you just scroll down. They are doing it, and they are doing it as an example. As you see over here, they have all these social media where they publish this article, and they also do it on IPFS, like I showed you. Like they use this technology to send the information. If you see the URL on the left bottom corner, you see ipfs.decrypt.media. If you click on it, you see, like, you don't have to click, just hover your mouse and you will see they define IPFS, because it's all about education, right? Like people, if people know what's IPFS, if a lot of developers already know IPFS, how to use it, they know how to create all these sort of like websites. I don't think, okay. Okay. So yeah, this website, this page, it cannot be taken down. It cannot be taken down. It cannot be banned, blocked, or anything like that. It cannot be, because it's on IPFS, you know, and IPFS is sort of a technology where you can do all of this, you know. It's resilient, it's open, and it's there. It's it's just there. You cannot change it, you know. You cannot transfer it to someone or something like that, at least for now, you know. Maybe in the future you can, but I think, of course, like, you know, as time keeps going, technologies keep getting better. But also we have seen like ENS domains, you know, how like say how do we connect? Like we have now google.com, facebook.com, you know, meta.com, you know, youtube.com. So all these are DNS, you know, domain name systems, which are centralized, you know, which controls um, your domain name, like all these domain names, if you already know. But domain names are just easy to read, sort of an IP address. You know, IP address is just like numbers. Okay, so every website has like an IP address. Okay, so the IP address is nothing but like how we consider today in MetaMask. You have like 0x, and then, like, you know, a long string of numbers and like letters, like hexa form of like characters and numbers, and also you have it in Phantom, you have it in any wallet address. So to make all these readable, you can actually translate that into like an Ethereum name service, for example. Okay, like you can register whatever your name, your website .eth. Okay, you can do that the same thing on Solana side of things as well. Okay, so you can see like people are choosing to do with like different characters as well. All right, so there are a lot of like options already available, but is it good enough to scale it to millions and millions and billions of people? I would lean towards the side, no, it's not ready, fully functional. Like, no, I mean, it's functional, and that's why you have seen like people use it. What I'm saying is, like, there are few people or few developers or devs who can build on this. They are less, you know. So we as a whole Web3 industry, we are small, you know. But but the thing is, if you come from the past, you have seen this ecosystem grow exponentially, like no other ecosystem in this whole world in our lifetime. No other. You can go and compare it to any industry or any revolution or any change that happened. This Web3 revolution is going so fast because the world needs it, you know, because the world needs it, and yeah, it will be done, you know, because there's no other choice, and that's how it's. There's no other choice in the sense. Um, that's how we make progress, you know. That's how we make progress in society, in the world, and so on and so forth. But anyways, you get the idea. Now you know, maybe you already know about this. Then you also have like this unstoppable domains where you can buy, you know, domains of different, you know, .coin, .wallet, and so on and so forth. And all these are immutable technologies. Okay, you cannot like you can build. What can you use your NFT or your domains for? You can create a website. You can do payments. You can use it across like different as ID, you know, which we call like decentralized identification, and decentralized identification itself. Website, payments itself, it's a form of ownership in the end. Payment, what do? You transfer value. There's something you own, you're sending it over to some other person, or something they own, you're receiving it. So it's an ownership. It all comes down to ownership, okay? Website, it's yours. It's an ownership, okay? Now you have a website, you think it's yours. You think it's yours. I know most of you think like yeah, most of you already know that it's not yours, and like you have seen, from several examples, you can just go on and on speaking about ownership, and the pros and cons about this two industry, but that's not the point. Well, what we are trying to address here is like Web2 and Web3 has their pros and cons, and yeah, I mean, it has to upgrade, um, you know, because that's the way we make progress again. But anyways, why? Like previously, I mentioned like decentralization. It's like sort of a buzzword. Why? Why do I say it? You know, and this is no critic to any of the networks or any of the chains or stuff like that. It's like you go and have a discussion about core developers, who are actually building this network itself, and ask them, hey, where do you store your data? Because everything that we discussed or anything that we see, we think it's just on a screen, and it's digital, but all these digital things also needs a place to live. And that's why we have hard disk, like a solid state drive, like a hard drive within our computer, right? All these digital things needs a place to live, and that is what we call data storage. Just ask about them. Hey, where does this Ethereum blockchain, or where does this Solana blockchain, or any other blockchain, stores their information? And is it efficient? Is it not? And ask, you will go down a different rabbit hole, okay? But anyways, if you want to understand very simply how data storage can actually be the solution. Data storage and computation is are the two solutions to solve for decentralization. Because currently, you know, all blockchains and so on and so forth, like majority of them, some of them are scalable, some of them are not scalable. It's not scalable in the sense, I don't mean like only just 500,000 people or 1 million people or 100 million people. We have 9 billion people in the world, so it needs to be able to scale to that, okay? So, but anyways, the point is that all these networks currently, due to different limitations, of course, because the pace of innovation is so fast that they use whatever is out there, so they use different storage solutions like AWS. They host their websites, on AWS, and their front ends, like their dApp front ends, on AWS. Okay. In fact, GitHub, Gitbook, and all of these places where the codes actually live, these are centralized authorities. So how can somebody tell me it's decentralized? Bullshit, you know? But we are going there, we are going. That's why we need, like, not need to, I mean, that is where we are going. Okay, so don't give me like, oh, something is decentralized over something else. It's not true, because most of the data is in a centralized place, and it can be changed. Okay? Does this mean, oh, the whole Web3 technology innovation is is not what it says it is? It's not true. Like I mentioned, it's just the pace of innovation is so fast that if you are in this industry, you know that, and you know that, hey, you just have to showcase, say, what you have built, and then we can come and we can solve for data storage. But if you want to learn more about data storage and computation and how one of the solutions can actually go ahead and solve this, and not just solve it, but to scale it. We have solutions like RV, Filecoin, and we discuss all of those in this video. So just go search for data storage Solana, and this is not just about Solana. It's about this solution can be applied to any other network in a much better way than Filecoin, Arweave, and all the other decentralized sort of storage systems and compute system they are doing. Okay, so go watch this video as well. It'll be very interesting. It'll give you a whole idea about the whole decentralized the concept of decentralization. The idea is great, and like I mentioned previously, Web3 is a totally different paradigm itself. So, and there's a scale, think of it like a scale, okay? Centralized, decentralized. Okay, so it's not, and it's like, where are we? Where are we in that line? Are we like, some of them will be centralized still, because that's the nature of how they operate, and some, you can remove the human aspect of it. Okay, but coming to all of this ownership, and like, why Web3 can actually solve for ownership and so on and so forth, we actually need to understand how these um, these information can actually live without people changing it. And so therefore we come up to this one of these articles which is written by Andre Crone. Yeah, I'm sure, like, if you know him from Twitter and on the internet, he's a pretty prominent Web3 developer, I would say, mostly into DeFi and the EVM side of things, but he's very prominent. The way his thoughts are articulated, and not just articulated just by thoughts, but by what he does also, because he's a builder after all. So it all comes down to smart contracts, like I mentioned in the past, like, previously in the videos, that hey, all these things, it's created on top of this code which is not changeable, and that is called like smart contracts. Okay, basically. And like, look what he mentions over here, they are not so smart contracts. Smart contracts, it's not so smart. It's not so smart. That's why we just call it programs, software which cannot be changed. But you need to have a name, right? Because to create the buzzword, and yeah, whatever people call it, marketing and so on and so forth, whatever, but you get the idea of. But anyways, yeah, so not so smart contracts, that was his title. But anyways, he's like, they are these immutable, unchangeable things that are that just relentlessly do their job. Okay, they don't care about, like, if you're BIS, if you're IMF, or if you're who, or if you're like Jimmy, or if you're Mimi, or if you're XYZ person, Donald Trump, Biden, or whoever. They don't care. They just do what their job is, what is programmed in the code. Okay. So, but why is this? Because it is to remove the human condition, because human condition always requires trust. Okay, and it's not like just about the trust, but it's also about to remove the failure of human point itself. Does that mean like humans are weak and like all these programs are strong? No, it's just a backup. It's a contingency, like, it's a system. Okay, contingency system in the sense, like, let's say Andre, okay, he built something, and nobody can change it, not even he can change it, and so on and so forth. So, and it just works, and does the job, and so on and so forth. And let's say if he dies, like, all my code written in DeFi will keep working exactly as designed. It does not need me. So it's the same. This is the first principles of like building in Web3. If you're a developer, if you think Web3 is just like, hey, code in something in Solidity, code something in, Rust or Scripto and all these other, smart contract programming languages that's out there, and just put some code out there, I think you're missing the forest for the trees, you know? It's a different mentality. It's a different mentality how to build, and it's not easy, It's not easy, and I would say Andre is one such example where he it just yeah it's just there, and he has proven time and time over again. So yeah, anyways, we'll see where that goes. But why is he doing all of this? It's because of the same point of ownership, so that you can own whatever you own, whatever you, I don't know, bought or purchased or got or received, it's yours, and nobody can take it from you. And that is exactly why you have to remove the point of human failure and condition, because when you have human condition, you are trusting somebody. And the fundamental point of ownership is in Web3 is to remove that point of trust, is to remove that point of yeah, of centralization, Yeah, so and it's not just like, hey, you remove some human and like, everything will function automatically. There are like all these checks and balances which are within the code, like, you've heard of like time locks where people or the participants, because after all, it's created for like, like machine to machine communication, or like, people also interact with this and leverage all of these technology in whatever different ways. So it's like, they enable like different participants, they give them enough time, that's what we call as time logs, so they give them enough time to respond and, participate in whatever is needed to be done, and so on and so forth within the smart contracts. And also you have like multiple signatures, which are called multi-sigs, where, you make sure, you ensure that a given failure point isn't a single human. That means, maybe there's a wallet, like a crypto wallet, Web3 digital asset wallet, and you just like you need maybe the private key, or like, that's why they call signature, is distributed amongst like, like multiple people, where let's say for example, like it's distributed that there are three people who has this multiple signatures, so one person cannot do anything. Okay, so two-person, yes, like, I mean, and let's say the third person is busy, or maybe like, passed away or something like that, these two can help. And then they, that's how you transition um, transition the ownership. Okay, and multisig is all about ownership, and so that's why you see like ownership is the most important thing which Web3 is trying to solve, okay, through different other parameters as well, okay, which are also very important, equally important, okay. So, like he mentions, he goes on to say, in crypto, you vote with your money. If you keep voting for low energy scams, get rich quick schemes, or low effort forks, you will only get more of those. It's the same thing as saying like birds of the same feather flock together, or like the type of friends that you have or the people that you have around you defines you. You know, it's yeah. So I mean. Yeah, it could be good or bad, so there's always both the sides. So, but anyways, you get the point. But anyways, I'll leave the article. It's if you are a developer, or if you are into Web3, and you need to read this article. It's a very tiny article, like 3 minutes article, but there's a lot of backstory behind why he wrote what he wrote, which is a controversy, which is a different controversy what happened in the recent week. So yeah, if you already know about all these Quadriga and Saifu and all that stuff, you know why he wrote what he wrote. But his philosophy, not his philosophy, the way he operates, or the way he does things, it's always from these sort of principles. But anyways, if you're a developer, you will learn a lot from his content or from his writings and also on Twitter, and you will be a better developer. Your mind will it will rewire. It needs to be rewired because you cannot think of Web3 the same way how you look into Web2. Like I said, it's a paradigm shift. You need to think differently. You need to think and nobody's saying, hey, you need to think this, you need to think that. That's up to each individual, and nobody's trying to influence each other. But what I'm saying is, like, Web3 is a totally different paradigm. The mind needs to be rewired in order to actually understand what are the benefits of Web3 over Web2. Yeah, and he ends by saying, look, immutability and the lack of human interaction is a feature, not a bug. Okay. And there's so many content out there to explain just this one sentence that, like, and I think I have explained by different examples why immutability and the lack of human interaction is a feature and why it's not a bug. I hope you understood that point through different examples and all these um, practical examples that I've given you. And he also says, mentioned, we often talk about trust assumptions. Code has no trust assumptions, only humans do. That's true because humans are subjective. Humans are objective as well, but after all, we are humans, we have feelings, and that is exactly what makes us human, which is also a feature, not a bug, but that is also something which is not the best thing to have in this world where we are going to, or where we are in this trustless world. Not the majority of the world, but like just the people who know about like Web3 stuff. We are going where we don't want to trust. We just, like they say over there, don't trust, verify. Why do they say that? Because you can just verify the ownership of an item, of something which is worth value to you or to oneself. So, and it's all about smart contracts after all. Smart contracts is such a bad word. It's just just, I mean, it's such a it's such a like you mentioned, not so smart contracts. So yeah, how would you name it? How would you name smart contracts? Leave a comment. I would love to know and get some ideas from you too. But yeah, smart contracts, I would just call it programs. Programs. Simple. One word, simple. Programs. Yeah, yeah, programs. We know what programs are. So programs, immutable programs. That's a bad word. Most of the people will not understand that meaning. Maybe they will, but most won't. But anyways, something needs to be much more simpler. But anyways, leave your comments. Let me know what you think, and yeah, thank you to this person for asking the question. So I hope you understood like Web3, what Web3 can solve and Web2 cannot. And you have also seen the risk in Web3, like, yeah, and you have also seen the risk of like Web2. And I mean, these are just a few examples, but there are endless examples in either cases, Web2 and Web3. So, yeah, we are going through this transition, the paradigm shift. So, the only thing what I would say is like, you know, it's two different things, you know. It's not the same, so you have to look at it differently. You have to question about things differently, you know, in the Web3 world. Okay, and it's yeah, it's and nobody's policing the Web3 space a lot, and that's why they're saying regulation, regulation, regulation. I think we need to come to an agreement. What sort of regulation is required in order to make Web3 uh, a bit more safer so that we can benefit from Web3 and not people losing funds and so on. I mean, but anyways, coming to the reality which we live right now as well. people still lose funds, right? I mean, people still smuggle, right? I mean, majority of the criminal activities are done in cash. Cash is not tracked, like how Web3 digital assets are tracked on the blockchain, and you can actually trace each and every transaction. You can't do that with cash, with a bag of cash. So there's a lot of things, and there are so many so many data points that you can see from chain analysis. Who's an analytics company. You can see like they've done all this forensics about like how much criminal activity is in cash, how much criminal activity is in digital assets, and so on and so forth. And it's proven always, like, year over year, it just keeps on reducing. But yeah, there are hacks and all of this because, yeah, because most people they want to exploit people who are not aware of things, you know. So yeah, and yeah, you're not safe in the Web3 world as well. You're not safe in the Web2 world as well. But we need to find a solution to make it as safe as possible, and that only comes through education. So I hope you learned something, and yeah, I mean, what can I say? Like, what's the answer to this is what are the things Web3 can solve that Web2 can't? It's all ownership. It's basically ownership. Okay, there are different ways to go about it. All right, so have a nice weekend, and I'll see you when I see you. All right, bye now. Take care.